What's going on, guys? It's Trevor with the Green Bay Health Project podcast. And today we are sitting down. I'm actually really looking forward to this conversation, and I'll tell you why. But we're joined by Susan Frazier of Dream Again Sleep. She is a certified sleep consultant helping parents, help their kids get to sleep. We have a 4.5 month old. So I'm really looking forward to picking your brain a little bit. But we can get there when the time comes. But I appreciate your time. I know we had some technical stuff going on in the back end, so I appreciate your patience,
You bet.
appreciate your time, and why don't you tell us a little more about yourself and Dream Again Sleep there, Susan?
Yeah, so I have three kiddos myself. They are now 6, 8, and 10 years old. So I am thankfully out of the baby and toddler stage. But I so vividly remember those early days. And I got into this field because just like many other people, I did not have naturally good sleepers. My first one, especially, that was a beast. That was so incredibly hard. Um, I remember preparing so much for babyhood when I was pregnant with her, of getting the perfect nursery, all of this stuff. And then she arrives, and I had no idea how difficult newborn sleep could be. I had no idea what chronic sleep deprivation would feel like. I always enjoyed getting my 8, 9 hours of sleep a night, and to not sleep consistently for months on end, I had no idea what that would be like. And I always thought, all right, things are going to improve on their own. She'll get bigger, she'll gain weight, things will get better on their own. And they just didn't. It was such a sinking feeling to be so tired during the day. And then you go to bed at night and you know it's not going to be a restful sleep. And it is a very daunting feeling to not know when your next full sleep was going to be. She was such a light sleeper. We would have to do, like, we'd put her to sleep, we'd be rocking her, and then we lived in an old house at the time, so you'd be like slithering across the floor, and a floorboard would squeak, and you'd have to start all over again. And you'd finally get her in, and she was addicted to her pacifier, so we'd be putting that in her mouth every, it felt like 12 seconds throughout the night, just to keep her asleep. And eventually, by the time she was 6 months old, we figured, all right, something has to change. I was trying to work part-time. We weren't sleeping at night. She was up early in the morning. Naps were unpredictable. So I said, all right, something has to change. Life is not sustainable that way. So I started a sleep training program with her, and within days, life had 100% changed. She was going to bed at 6:30 at night. I was having evenings with my husband. She was sleeping all night. Naps were predictable during the day, and why had we started this sooner? It was an amazing transformation that we could actually teach our children to sleep well at night. It was incredible. So fast forward, two more kiddos. And I would like to say I did everything perfectly with the next two kiddos, but
Of
that's not
course.
real life at all. And they were better sleepers to begin, but that 4 month sleep regression that I guarantee you are experiencing right now, it was a beast, and it set them back, and they both were up, 5, 6 times a night again. But I did the same sleep training program with them, got them to a way better place. And kids are still kids. There's still the hard nights. There's still sickness. There's still regressions. So once you fix sleep once when they're little, doesn't mean it's perfect, the rest of their lives. But we were on a way better path. And I was hooked on sleep. I loved learning about it. I spent hours reading books, reading articles. Realized I was way more fascinated in sleep than the general population. I loved it way too much. I loved answering questions for other friends and parents. And I knew this was something that I wanted to pursue. But I also wanted to be home with my kids and be fully present for them. I was a stay-at-home mom then at the time. So when my youngest then started preschool, I completed a certification program. It's a sleep coach certification program.
Okay.
So I completed that. And I finished that about 2 years ago. 2 years ago in January, I was certified. And I've been going strong ever since, helping families get their kiddos to sleep better. And it is an absolute joy. I absolutely love what I do every single day, just getting to see the transformation of families when kids are sleeping, and just for the mental health of parents, for relationships, for jobs. It is an absolute blessing to be able to help families.
I bet. um,
Yes.
because it's not fun. Not
No, it's
it's not.
not.
It's not like I feel bad for us. I feel bad for our son. Like we hit a good routine and then everybody got sick and that really
Yep.
threw everything off and now it's
Yep.
been almost impossible getting him back into a routine. It's like we have a nighttime routine, we put him in his crib, we put him down immediately, like starts to
Yep.
cry. And
Yep.
it's like that all night. um,
Yep.
but it's I think even just last night, we got him to sleep in his crib for 20 minutes and it was like, oh my goodness, it is so quiet. This is so nice. Let's just sit here. Um, but oh God, yeah, I have questions. So good for you for figuring it out. I'm happy for you. And it really only took like, was it really 3 days that you started to see like a big change in your own kids?
Oh, 100%. It
Yeah.
is the when we started this, I thought this is the hardest thing we're ever doing because there's crying. I mean, we're not doing
Yeah.
cry it out. We're not just leaving them and walking away, but there is crying involved. And when we started this with my own very own kids, I remember thinking this is so hard. But then literally 3 days later, I said to myself, why did I not do this sooner? The change and the transformation, it it was absolutely incredible, and it is my absolute favorite part when parents see that shift. It's not always 3 days, sometimes it's 5 days,
Sure.
but it's
Right.
we need if we don't see major change within a week, we're doing something wrong. So this is not a long drawn out process with crying that lasts forever. It is, oh, it's incredible.
It sounds too good to be true. I'm not gonna lie.
It does. It's what every parent says. Most parents are very skeptical when they start working with me because they think there's no way my child could do that. You don't truly know how
Yeah.
bad things are, but nope, they do. It's awesome.
Oh man, that's cool. So I think the first thing I want to ask is, oh man, I have a lot of questions. Um, let's. I want to know what it looks like when somebody comes to you and wants to start working with you. Can you walk us
Yep.
through that process first?
For sure. So I always start with it's a free 15-minute phone call. We just need to see, I need to see what their family's going through, hear from mostly it's the mom, not always. I get a lot of dads on the phone too. See what the issues are, see what the parents' goals are. Everyone has different goals. Not all parents actually want to sleep through the night. Some are happy with one or two, wake up still. Make sure that we are compatible. Make sure, I mean, when we work together, we talk every single day. We have to make sure we like each other and that our personalities
For
mesh
sure.
and whatnot. Um, and so we talk about what the process, what to expect. And if they decide, yep, this is for me, the parent would then fill out a decently long questionnaire. I need to see what's going on at night, during the days, how you approach things, what their feedings are like. I'm looking for any red flags that could be popped up, of any health issues that could be going on. Um, and then after that, I create your personalized sleep plan. And it's decently long, but goes through step by step what to do every situation, how to put your child down for nap, how to put them down for bedtime, what to do when they cry, how to respond, the night wake ups, the early mornings, the whole shebang. And then from there, we have a 60 to 90 minute ish Zoom call where we go over the plan, make sure you understand anything or everything on there, answer questions, make any changes that you feel like we should be making. And then you pick a start date for your plan. And then for infants, it's generally 2 weeks that we work together. Toddlers, generally 3 weeks because they take a little bit longer. And you're working on the plan. We are texting daily through like a messenger service. You're logging all of the sleep. I offer unlimited phone calls, emails, and text message support. So we are talking all the time as much as you need, gauging progress, troubleshooting weird things always pop up during the middle of this. Something, your child does something that we don't necessarily anticipate. So we troubleshoot through that. And then we celebrate the changes, because you will be seeing some major changes, and you better believe that we celebrate those changes.
Yeah.
And it's real. I
Yeah.
feel just as excited when you get that first super long stretch or the first sleep through the night. I truly am celebrating for you. It's really awesome to see.
Yeah.
And if by the end of that 2 or 3 weeks, if your goals haven't been met, but if we're truly working on this, then we just keep going. I don't cut people off at, your time is up. So
Sure.
we just keep going. Yeah, and we see those awesome changes being made.
Nice. That's really cool. Off of that, you said, so what age would you recommend starting?
Yep. So I offer newborns through 8 years old.
Okay.
But how we approach things is very different. So
Yeah.
for the newborns, we are just setting a sleep foundation. It's not sleep training by any means. So we're figuring out how often to feed, just the bedtime routine, setting the stage, just gently introducing some independent sleep skills at the parent's own pace. Nothing strict whatsoever. My formal sleep training plans start at 4 months. Basically, we want that 4-month sleep regression to have already happened. So somewhere around, and I can go into, if you want to, more about what that is. But 4 months is the minimum. I don't love the 4-month age, because there is so much change going on with babies at that stage that it can be very tricky.
Sure.
But sometimes sleep is so terrible that parents can't wait. They don't have the capacity to wait another month until their child's development has kind of simmered down a little bit. So definitely we'll work with the 4-month-olds up through when they're really much older.
Well, yeah. Can you talk through the regression a little bit?
Yes, so
Please.
it's huge. This is I remember when I think I was pregnant with my second one. I found out I was pregnant. I was like, oh my goodness, but the 4-month sleep regression, like that was already on my mind. So basically, without going too much into detail, newborns 0 to 3 months, they only have 2 stages of sleep. They have deep sleep, like a very still, quiet, deep sleep, and they have active sleep. And the active sleep is very easy to recognize in newborns. You'll see their eyes flutter. A lot of times their eyelids will go up. They're jerking, they're groaning, they're grunting, they're making lots of noises. So, but those are 2 very deep stages of sleep. So as they transition through those, they just keep sleeping. And then they wake up, time to eat, you feed them, they fall back asleep, and they're still in a deep sleep. But come 4 months, the brain fundamentally changes how it sleeps, and the structure of sleep changes. So babies at 4 months and over will now have 4 stages of sleep. And for the first time in their lives, they will be experiencing light sleep. Newborns have never experienced light sleep until this point. So now we have the stage 1 of sleep, where babies' eyes can actually still be open, which is pretty crazy. It's a super light beginning stage
We
of
have
sleep.
that. It's creepy.
Yes. And stage 2 of sleep, which is a little bit deeper, but they are very easily woken. And as your baby will transfer or go around and complete all of these stages of sleep, they will wake up between cycles. So 5 to 6 times per night or more, your child will either partially or fully wake as they transition through these sleep cycles. And this is 100% normal. It is normal for bigger babies. It is normal for toddlers, children, adults. Everyone naturally wakes 5 to 6 times per night as they transition through their sleep cycles. They complete one cycle, they start another, they naturally waken. The difference with adults or children with independent sleep skills is we quickly turn over, adjust our pillow, fix our blanket, go back to sleep so quickly that we don't even realize that we woke up. With babies at 4 months, since this is such a big change for them, if they do not have independent sleep skills, if they're relying on being fed to go to to go to sleep, if they're relying on a parent coming in and rocking them to sleep. Every time they naturally wake during those sleep cycles at night, the parent is going to need to come in and repeat that all through the night. They don't know how to connect their sleep cycles without a parent doing something to help them get through. So this 4-month regression, it's actually a terrible name because it's a progression. Their brain has changed. It's adjusted for what it's going to be like in the future. And it never goes back. So a lot of times regressions are like, oh, it'll last for 2 weeks and then they'll go back to normal. There is this is the normal.
Okay. That was going to be my question, is like the whole regression name, like, just makes it sound like it's going to end. Like you have this period, you get through it and things get better, but really it's just the sleep cycles change and they just really have to learn how to cope with the new schedule. So to speak.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. It sucks. Like
it does. It is such a hard phase. Whenever I talk to parents on the phone and they tell me about their 8 and 9-month-old not sleeping well, I'll say, "Did this start at 4 months?" And they say yes. And it always that is, you can always pinpoint it back to 4 months when things go downhill.
Yeah. You also mentioned that you did not do the cry it out side of things.
Correct.
But that obviously there's going to be crying involved. I can imagine, like, I'm genuinely curious what your thoughts are on the cry it out method. I know a lot of people use it. I know it's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's something that we've been messing around with a little bit, and it's brutal. I mean, to just hear your kid just scream. So what are your thoughts on that?
For sure. So first of all, let's define what cry it out actually is, because so many people, doctors, like there's a confusion. When they say cry it out, people automatically assume that means sleep training. Sleep training and cry it out are not the same thing. So cry it out in its truest form is what it was created to be, is you put your child to bed at night, you close the door, and you do not come back in until morning. You do not check on them. You do not feed them. You do not support them by any reason whatsoever. Shut the door. You're done. That is what cry it out theoretically means. And I do not teach that simply because it is too hard. No one wants to leave their child crying that long at night. I do not necessarily think it is harmful when it is done in the context of a healthy child in a loving, attached family. I don't think it is harmful, and it works within like 2-3 days. You will have a great sleeper. So it works, but it does not feel good to a parent. No one likes to do that. And because it doesn't feel good, parents are very likely to try it for half hour, an hour, 2 hours, and then they can't handle it anymore. So they go in and they rescue their child. But all that does now is you just let your child cry for 2 hours. Nothing good came out of it. And then the next time you try something, the crying is going to be even longer or harder. So it ends up working against families. So that is what cried out is. I use there's too much to go into the specific methods that I do, but I do methods where there is crying, but we're always checking. One of them I do is where you stay in the room with your child, you're helping them, you're supporting them, but you're not helping and supporting them in the way that you used to. You're not feeding them to sleep anymore. You're not rocking to sleep. Instead, you might just be patting them or giving them some reassuring, voice messages. And then you're just slowly removing that support away day by day. Every 3 days, you'd move your chair a little farther, and you'd slowly remove the support. Sometimes it actually makes babies more angry because they're expecting you to rock them or feed them to sleep, and they get a little angry. So other times we do check-ins where you would leave the room for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. There's no magic number, whatever you're comfortable with. You'd come in the room, give them a little pats, give them a little support, let them know that you're there, and then you would leave the room again. So you're doing constant check-ins, pop-in, pop-outs to check on them. And those generally work very, very well, those two methods for little kids.
That's interesting. And I think, I've looked things up, and, it's like, is it good to let a baby cry that long? Is it not? Is it harming them? Is it not harming them? But like, personally, I think it hurts us worse. It's because it's like,
it does.
Golly, that poor kid.
And
it's
they're
tough.
just expressing they're tired. They want to sleep. They don't know how. It's a lot of frustration, and our calm moves on to them. So when we get all like, we transfer that on to our
Yeah.
children. So I always talk about crying with parents. It is one of their biggest concerns, and I never want anyone to feel like they can't bring that to me or talk how they're feeling about that crying with me. We can definitely talk in depth about that. That's no problem.
Yeah. Does that, like, crying's not a bad thing, right? Like, it's not
No,
like they're,
no.
yeah.
And we're always making sure that their tummy is full, they're not wet,
Mhm.
they're not in any physical pain. And always we're checking them, we're supporting them, we're just not doing it the way that they like. I always like
Yeah.
to kind of compare to, pretend you're driving on the highway and your kiddo is screaming in the car seat, in the back seat. You're not going to take them out of the car seat
Mhm.
and on the highway. You can't do that. So how would you support them when you're in the front seat of the car and they're in the car seat? Well, you would sing to them, you would talk to them, you might like reach back and give them some pats. And
Mhm.
that's exactly the same thing that we're doing.
Okay. That's a good analogy because that's exactly what we do. If he's crying in the car,
Yep.
it's just like, hey man, what's going on? Like, we're right here. You're good. Let's hold your hand a little bit or something like that.
Yes.
And then
And the
end up falling back
crying,
asleep.
it's yeah, the crying does not last forever. Sometimes parents will think they're going to cry all night, and this is a weeks long process. Like
Yeah.
it cuts down so quickly, and if I do not see measurable progress, like significant progress within 3 to 5 days, something is up, and then we dig in farther to make changes, because we should not be seeing significant crying much longer
Okay.
than that.
Huh. Okay. Um, Now, with the different ages and stages, should there
Yep.
be different landmarks that they're hitting in regards to how many naps, how long are the naps, how much sleep should they be getting at night? Like, what does that look like as they age from like newborn stage?
Yes.
Like, what should parents expect um, for that? And like, because I think that will help. And I guess the follow-up question then would be, um, what if we're not hitting that certain number, when to know when to reach out for sleep training?
Yep. So most babies through toddlers need about 11 to 12 hours of sleep at night. That does not actually change very much through childhood. It's 11 to
Okay.
12 hours. Sometimes you might have a 10, sometimes you might have a 12 and a half, but it's generally around 11 to 12. That's a pretty good generality. But then you have the naps during the day. So I have all these charts on my website and blog. So I'm not going to go through every
Yeah,
stage of
for
naps,
sure.
but generally we have tons of naps at the beginning where they're sleeping every hour. So you have 4, 5, 6 naps. Generally, we like to get to 2 naps a day by 6, 7, 8 months, somewhere around there, and then 2 naps stick around until 13, 14 months, and then we stick to 1 nap, and then the 1 nap holds on until around age of 3-ish. So you will see your daytime sleep start to go down and condense into longer stretches of like just 1 or 2 naps as they get older.
Okay.
So I have charts. You come to my website, come to find me on Instagram, on Facebook, and whatnot. There's charts. I'll send you charts. There's lots out there.
Sure.
I
No,
have
that's
charts all over my house.
yeah, I bet. Are there any, so how important is the nighttime routine then? Like, I think, we typically start ours. I'm just talking from us. Like 7:15, we notice that he really starts to wind down. So is
Yep.
there like a sweet spot of time? I think, our goal is to have him asleep by, I don't know, 7:30, 7:45, somewhere in there.
Yep.
But is there a sweet spot that you should start a routine?
It varies based on when naps are in a family schedule. I always like bedtime to be generally around between 7 and 8 p.m. for that 4 month age and on. Newborns
Okay.
tend to go to sleep a little bit later, but it truly is based off of when their last nap ended and how much daytime sleep that they're getting. But your timing that you described is generally pretty right on. Um, Well, I like to have bedtime routines last about 30 minutes. Anything longer than that, you're kind of just dragging them out a little bit. Anything shorter than that, uh, sometimes it's not enough time for your baby to wind down and get ready for sleep.
Okay.
The important thing with your bedtime routine is that it's repeatable. So generally the same steps every single night in the same order. Your child will begin to anticipate what's coming next, and they'll anticipate that sleep is coming. And the big one of what I teach is what a lot of parents mess up is that they are putting their babies into their cribs already asleep. And that causes all those wake ups 45 minutes after you put them down a lot of times or throughout the night. So I always teach parents to, if you're doing the bedtime feed, which you are at this age, you do that at the beginning of your routine. So you might do it before your bath if they're having a hard time staying awake, or if they're super awake, you can do the bath if you do a bath, and then you would do the feed, and then you would do the rest of your routine. That way you're putting your baby in their crib awake instead of asleep.
Interesting. Yeah,
So that is the key one.
we are doing it wrong.
And it's so common because when you're a newborn, feeding your baby to sleep works every time. When they're a newborn, putting your baby in their crib already asleep works every time because that sleep is deep and they can be transferred easily. But after that 4-month regression happens, that sleep is light at the beginning. They'll more easily wake up, and they're going to be waking up in another 45 minutes, an hour-ish anyway, because they're transitioning through sleep cycles. So if your baby falls asleep independently at bedtime, they can fall asleep independently then as they naturally wake during the night. So if you're having middle of the night wakings, to fix them, you actually go back to bedtime and you fix how they're falling asleep initially.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So then how awake is awake when you should put them down?
Oh,
in their crib?
That's an awesome question. Because remember, stage 1 of sleep, their eyes might still be open.
Yeah.
But they're actually technically sleeping. So the term drowsy but awake, terrible advice for 4 months and over. Drowsy but awake is great for newborns. That's awesome. But once your baby is 4 months and over, we want your baby awake. We don't want their eyes drooping. We don't want their eyes half closed. We don't want the heavy blinks. We want awake. We want tired, ready for sleep, but your baby is awake going into that crib. They are fully conscious and aware that they are going into their crib and that they have to go to sleep on their own.
That's really good to clarify because we've heard the drowsy but awake type thing. Put your baby down. That's one of the biggest things we've heard is wait till he's a little drowsy, if not like fluttering eyes, like just about to fall asleep, then put him down in his crib. So that's really interesting to me, but it makes a lot of sense with how you explained it.
Yeah, and that's perfect advice for newborns. That is the great way to start with newborns. But once they get older, that's too asleep.
That's very, very interesting. I had another question, but it just slipped my mind. Oh yeah. So say you have a bad sleeper to start with, just important to, I mean, obviously you hear a lot about like adults needing sleep and getting a certain amount of hours, but I can only imagine how important it is for babies and younger kids to get sleep just for development purposes. So I guess, can you just speak on how important it is to get your baby into a good routine and a good night's sleep just for development purposes?
So we know how we feel. We're exhausted, right? It's that feeling we can't remember things. We have a hard time learning things. We can get sick more easily. It's the same thing for babies, but they are learning even more. Their brains are nonstop. They're learning new skills. They're trying to figure out life, and that they do all of that when they're sleeping. That's what helps their brain make the connections. They need that strong immune system, and sleep is what provides that. So think about how we feel when we're tired. That's what your baby is feeling as well, even though they might not show it the exact same ways as we do. But if you're tired from being up all night and it's affecting you, it's affecting your baby as well.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I honestly can't get over the whole like we should see something in 3 to 5 days. Like to me, it's like, are you kidding me? Like that would be
I know.
amazing.
I know.
Like selfishly for us, I'm like it'd be great for him and babies, but shoot, we're tired too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
There's no need to wait on. So many people are like, oh, I need to find the perfect time. I have
right.
all this. But like we can start soon and you'll see the improvement. And then you're like, oh my goodness, why did I wait so long?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so you've mentioned resources. Where can people go to contact you? I mean, you've
Yes.
alluded to social media, website. What does that look like? And I'll be sure to put that everywhere as well so people can just
Awesome.
click on it. But what's the best way to contact you and what types of resources do you have on social's website?
Yeah, so my website is a great place to start, dreamagainsleep.com. I have a blog there with lots of free resources. I have a pop-up that right now I believe is a free early wakings guide. Um, I have a free newborn guide to preview available. I just did yesterday a toddler workshop. It was an hour long, me going through everything for toddler sleep, and that was free. If you're interested in that, just send me a message and I will send you the recording or anyone
Yeah.
the recording for that as well. Instagram, my handle is @DreamAgainSleep. Tons of good stuff on there. Always posting new things. I'm always changing up my freebies and whatnot. And if you ask a specific question, I will point you to my blog that I talk about that, or I'll write the blog for you if I don't have a topic on that yet. But yeah,
Cool.
lots of
And
good stuff available.
perfect. And if they wanted to contact you, is going through the website the best way?
Yep,
Shoot you an
either
email?
website, email's great. I check everything.
Okay.
Just never be afraid to ask questions. This sleep training and being committed to this is a really big deal, and it's very emotional for a lot of parents. Sleep is strangely emotional.
Yeah.
So I always want parents to feel that they can ask as many questions as they want. This is when we chat. I promise with all my heart, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I
Mhm.
will be clear about what to expect, but you need to feel that this is right for your family. So I welcome any and all questions.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, is there anything that we haven't covered that you want people to know about any information, anything about how you operate, anything you provide, or anything like that?
I think just the main message I want to tell parents is that if you are not happy with your sleep situation, if something is not working for you, we can change it. You do not need to be at the mercy of just waiting for your child to figure it out themselves, because that could honestly take years. If you are not happy with the way things are, we can change it. That being said, if you are happy with the way sleep is going in your family, even if it's different than what I might say is the perfect way or what other people say they do, if you're happy, don't change anything. This is all about what works for your family, what you are content with. If you are happy in your parenting and the way your child is sleeping, great. No need to change anything. But if not, we can definitely change it. And it's never too late to fix sleep
Mm.
problems. I've had 4, 5, 6 year olds. There are older ones as well that are still struggling. It is not too late. You don't get to a point and you're like, oh, guess we're stuck like this forever. You can always make changes.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I like that. Because I think some people probably do think like, oh, hey, we missed our window of opportunity. Can't do anything about it now. So that's
And it
good.
does get harder. Why
Sure.
toddlers especially,
I
they're
bet.
just ingrained habits that have been there for longer, but
Sure.
still completely fixable.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. That makes a ton of sense. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time. This was a ton of info.
It was. I agree. I have so much to say always.
That's the thing, and that's what's fun, and like it was good. So truly, like, thank you for your time. We
Yeah,
really
thank
really
you for
appreciate it.
inviting me
And
on.
like I said, for everybody listening, we'll be sure to put every like website, Instagram handle, everything, so it's just easily clickable,
Perfect.
and any resources you have. So thanks again.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Yep. All right, guys. And as always, we will talk with you next time.